これはどう?
Half-Russian teenager Alisa Alya Kuju is popular at school for her beauty and aloof personality. When around her classmate Masachika Kuze, she criticizes his slacker personality. Occasionally, she will claim to insult him in Russian, unaware Masachika learnt basic Russian so he could talk to a Russian girl he knew as a child. Masachika has secretly had a crush on Alya since she started attending the same school as him, but believes he is not worthy of her, and decides to push his feelings aside. However, Alya seems to have fallen in love with him and constantly flirts with him in Russian, which often leaves him flustered and perplexed. Alya is on the student council with her older sister Maria and her rival Yuki Suo. One morning, while alone in class, Alya has to change her wet socks and dares Masachika to help her put on dry ones. Accepting her dare, he does so but accidentally puts his hand up her skirt, so she kicks him in the face, leaving Masachika with a new leg fetish. She eventually forgives him, only to learn he also saw her panties when she kicked him, so she punches him and runs away. But Masachika chases after her until she runs out of breath. Realizing she's embarrassed from him looking at her panties, Masachika apologizes for this mishap, and she accepts it, admitting it was her fault too, and that she needed a moment for herself to cool off. Yuki introduces Masachika to Council President Tuya Kenzaki as part of her plot to get Masachika on the council. Masachika learns Alya plans to be council president next year. At his home, it is revealed Yuki is actually Masachika's younger sister with a different family name. While shopping together, Yuki and Masachika realize Alya is spying on them. Yuki invites Alya to lunch with them at the spiciest ramen restaurant in the city, which the siblings both enjoy, and Alya stubbornly accepts, despite the ramen making her want to pass out. In Russian, Alya expresses a wish Masachika would support her as her vice president. Yuki leaves on an errand, so Alya takes Masachika clothes shopping where she bravely tries on outfits for his approval. She ends up enjoying his compliments so much she tries on increasingly more daring outfits, only to embarrass herself in a short skirt when Yuki unexpectedly returns. When she realizes Masachika and Yuki got off at the same station, implying they live close to each other. Alya returns home where Maria teases her about Masachika. Alya's childhood in Russia is shown where her effort in school caused conflict with her classmates, who did the bare minimum to get by. Moving to Japan, she first encountered Masachika, but immediately disliked his laziness until the announcement of a school festival. Alya was surprised when Masachika took a full part in preparing for the festival and even convinced other slacker students to help. With Masachika's effort, the school approved the students staying at school all night to get the festival ready. With the preparations over, Alya admits she hates the nickname Princess. Everyone calls her due to the implication she was born privileged. She thanks Masachika for his hard work and allows him to use her personal nickname Alya instead of her full name Alisa. The next day, while shopping, Masachika is unexpectedly reminded of his parents' divorce, so Maria hugs him. Masachika cannot help feeling her hug is somehow familiar, but she accidentally spills hot tea on him. Masachika tells Tuya he is unworthy of joining the council since he joined the council in middle school for a selfish reason. Tuya claims it doesn't matter since he himself only became council president to impress Chisaki. Masachika decides to consider joining, but only to help Alya become president. Alya is sent to mediate a dispute between the soccer and baseball clubs, which doesn't go well due to her inexperience, and she starts to doubt she could ever be a good president. Masachika, having heard her crying in Russian, steps in and tricks the club managers who happen to be dating into settling the dispute themselves. Alya is impressed. Falling even deeper in love, Alya tells him she likes him without using Russian. Something about her confession reminds him of the Russian girl from his childhood, ruining the moment, and she slaps him. She immediately forgives him and even kisses the cheek she slapped. Masachika is left unsure about what any of their conversation really meant. Maria states that she's in love with Masachika, which she stubbornly denies. Masachika wrestles with the idea Alya might really like him, but concludes it must have been a plot to get him on the council. Returning home, he walks in on Yuki naked, but rather than get in trouble, Yuki explains she planned the whole thing as a bizarre apology for forcing him onto the council. Yuki is disappointed Masachika plans to help Alya become president and believing he did it because Alya has large breasts. Secretly, she is glad Masachika has his motivation back. Alya notices changes to Masachika's behavior and wonders if it is because he is serious about his support for. Ever since her semi-confession, Masachika has begun noticing more of Alya's subtle sexiness moments. This is made worse when she starts showing open concern for him, until she learns his odd behavior was mostly caused by skipping breakfast that morning. They attend their first council meeting. Masachika is made the council's general affairs officer, but openly admits his main focus will be making Alya the next president. Yuki and Alya are paired up for council work, where Yuki tells Alya she loves Masachika and pressures Alya to embrace her own love for him. Alya cannot bring herself to accept her feelings, but still declares she won't let Yuki steal Masachika away from her. They return to the council where Alya sits much closer to Masachika, which embarrasses him. Maria jokes about marriage, and Masachika notices that while Alya denies it in Russian, it is only because she thinks she is too young. While at a cafe working on her campaign to be president, Masachika reassures Alya that Yuki enjoys teasing people. He also warns her about general meetings where council members are expected to solve serious issues through debate. Alya can't focus and instead pressures him into an indirect kiss by insisting he try her ice cream using her spoon. Masachika manages to advise her to somehow get the voters' sympathy, like President Tuya, who, during his own campaign, lost weight and improved his grades. Masachika solves the spoon issue by ordering food for himself with separate utensils. The next day, Yuki introduces her potential vice president, Ayano Kimishima, which worries Masachika and amuses Yuki. Ayano works for the Suo family and informs Masachika that helping Alya compete against Yuki has angered Masachika and Yuki's grandfather, who exiled Masachika and his father years ago. Not caring about his grandfather's opinion, Masachika repeats his support for Alya. Later, Masachika accidentally angers Alya, who believes he prefers her beauty over her personality. Yuki is glad Masachika still loves her like a sister. Ayano suggests she too is drawn to Masachika, but purely for sexual reasons as she despises his slacker personality. Yuki looks forward to facing Masachika in competition as he is secretly the greatest prodigy of the Suo family. Maria is happy Alya has someone she can trust, since as her sister, her own support for Alya has to be more subtle. Masachika reveals to her his slacker personality is just an act to hide what he is capable of. Sayaka of the Public Morals Committee, another presidential candidate, accuses Alya of conspiring to steal Masachika from Yuki for the competition, most likely by blackmail or other immoral means. When Masachika denies this, Sayaka challenges them both to a general meeting to force them out of the competition. Masachika admits Sayaka likely hates him for supporting Yuki against her for president in middle school. They learn Sayaka's teammate Nonoa has useful connections. Sayaka begins by claiming presidents typically select friends to join the council. Therefore, teacher screenings would ensure only appropriate students join. Alya counters by claiming this would give teachers inappropriate power over the council, which impresses the audience. Nonoa uses friends among the audience to whisper against Alya for being foreign, upsetting her. Masachika takes over and points out students voted for President Tuya, who due to his poor past grades never would have made it through a teacher's screening. Unable to respond, Sayaka flees in tears. Alya follows and Sayaka admits she accepted losing to Yuki in middle school because Yuki and Masachika were a perfect team, but seeing Masachika with Alya makes her loss unbearable. Alya admits she doesn't know why Masachika supports her, but hopes to be worthy of it. Yuki is disappointed Masachika let the debate last so long when he could have won at any time, but is still impressed to know her brother is skilled. Masachika admits to Alya he partnered with Yuki due to guilt, but supports Alya because he wants to. Alya is happy to have his support and reveals in Russian that she chose Masachika because of who he is and how nice he is to her. Yuki's grandfather warns her she must become president as he will not tolerate her losing to Masachika since he left the family. Alya feels guilty, Sayaka was humiliated, and people talking bad about her. Alya is touched, but Masachika panics when it looks like a romantic atmosphere is developing and quickly points out Tuya and Chisaki hiding nearby. Masachika asks Nonoa to spread a rumor justifying Sayaka running off stage without it looking like she ran away. While studying with Masachika, Alya is annoyed they are disturbed by Yuki, Ayano, and Maria, but is unable to do anything about it. Maria finds a book on hypnosis. Unsurprisingly, both Alya and Maria end up hypnotized. Yuki takes advantage and orders them to abandon their inhibitions. Both girls start removing their clothes and cannot be stopped, even using the book. Fortunately, Chisaki appears and wakes them up. As both girls panic at waking up half-naked, Chisaki attempts to punish Masachika for looking at their half-dressed state. As exams are soon done, Alya bets Masachika if he makes it to within the top 30, she will do any one thing he asks. Masachika happens to mention it was his birthday 3 months previously, and Alya is disappointed he didn't invite her. After exams are over, Masachika explains that birthdays aren't celebrated in his family. As she seems upset by this, he impulsively offers to throw a party just for the two of them. During the party, they discuss the closing ceremony where presidential candidates give speeches, and the audience reaction is usually a good indicator of the likely winner. Yuki is already incredibly popular, so Masachika advises Alya to aim just high enough to be considered a viable opponent. Masachika notices not only does she compliment him without using Russian, she even accepts an indirect kiss via a fork without any reaction. Tuya announces he is hoping to get the school to update the uniforms. Masachika's other grandfather accompanies him to parent-teacher conference and encounters Alya and her mother, and immediately takes a liking to Alya. Masachika is deeply upset to also encounter Yuki with their mother Yumi. Before he could say anything, his other grandfather manages to ease the tension by initiating a conversation with his mother. Masachika has a nightmare of being unable to impress his mother. He also finds the stress has given him a cold. He is exasperated when Yuki sends Alya to his apartment to nurse him and enjoys having her take care of him. Masachika falls asleep until late and awakens to Alya competing with Ayano to nurse him overnight. In the end, Alya has to leave as she has an event the next morning. Masachika does not awaken until the following afternoon and realizes Yuki deliberately gave Alya cold medicine for him that causes drowsiness. Realizing Yuki schemed to keep him off school longer, he rushes to school and finds during his absence, Yuki pressured Alya into doing a radio broadcast, but right before the broadcast, she told Alya about her genius older brother and implies he died. Unsettled by this, Alya performed terribly during the broadcast and is left devastated. Masachika cheers her up and points out Yuki's goal was to get in Alya's head and depress her before the closing ceremony speeches. As Masachika starts to scheme against Yuki himself, Alya notices him smiling like an evil mastermind over his sister's underhanded trick and thinks it makes him look attractive, but doesn't put two and two together that he is Yuki's brother. Sayaka and Nonoa interrupt to properly apologize for the general meeting. Masachika asks her not to announce that they quitting the contest to become president publicly, yet as he just thought of a way Alya can defeat Yuki during closing ceremony with Sayaka's help. Masachika tells Alya a trick to engage the audience. In her speech, Yuki shares her plan to resurrect the student suggestion box. Ayano gives a speech on becoming Yuki's vice president in which she praises Yuki shamelessly. Alya confuses the audience by starting her speech in Russian, and then amuses them by claiming she did it accidentally due to being nervous. This has the effect Masachika wanted of calming the audience down after Yuki's speech. Alya admits to her lack of experience, but promises to work harder than everyone to gain that experience. In his speech, Masachika deliberately makes a fool of himself to make the audience laugh. He also reveals if Alya becomes president, her former opponents Sayaka and Nonoa will join the council as her subordinates, leaving everyone, including Yuki, surprised. Albeit frustrated, Yuki admits defeat with a smile on her face, but promises to beat Alya and Masachika the next year. Later that day, Masachika points out he didn't make it into the top 30 exam results, and Alya has no idea what to ask as a forfeit. Remembering something she said earlier in Russian, Masachika suggests they should start calling each other by their first names. As they leave the school, Masachika shyly suggests that he and Alya should spend the summer together, preparing for the actual student election the following year, to which Alya happily accepts.